welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Christina.
We are your hosts.
Welcome.
Welcome. So happy to be back in the studio. We have a great episode today.
Yes, all the way from France.
I'm excited. Very exciting. And so everyone should get their pen and paper. She's going to teach us how to make a lot of money and not work as hard. Super excited about today's guest. She is a beloved mentor to thousands of women in business. As founder of the Leveraged Business Program, she has reverse engineered how she scaled her business to several $1 million annually while remaining powerfully feminine. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Her book, The Leveraged Business, How You Can Go From Overwhelmed at 6 Figures to 7 Figures and Get Your Life Back, is the definitive roadmap showing women how to increase their income and impact with heart. Please welcome Fabienne Fredrickson to Deals with Heels.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you on the show and are glad we were able to make the time work since you're in France this morning.
Yes,
I guess it's not morning for you.
No, it's almost champagne time.
Well, there you go. There's another champagne person for you.
It's always champagne time. I really loved learning about you and your story and how you've grown your business. Can you share that with our audience so they can kind of get, I've got so many questions and Christina does too, but tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I can give you the Cliff Notes version. I started my business 24 years ago first as a nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist, and I got clients right away, but I didn't get enough clients to pay for my Manhattan rent, which back then 24 years ago was like $1,400. I needed to figure out how to get clients because I realized even at the age of 29, 30, that I was unemployable. I could not go back to corporate once I tasted self-employment. But I nowhere was everything available in one place. So back then I had to create a client attraction system for myself to be able to stay in business. And so I did that. So I'm giving you the really short story. And I filled my practice to full capacity back then in 8 months once I created these steps. And what I realized is that there were a lot of things being taught about how to attract clients back then, but they were really masculine. And there were ways of marketing and selling that while I get that other people could do it, I was just never going to do that because it felt inauthentic and not in alignment with who I am as a person. So I needed to find ways that were more authentic to my approach. So I unknowingly created not only a client attraction system that worked, but it worked because it was aligned with my values. I didn't want to be pushy. I didn't want to do things a certain way. So fast forward a few years, I am now making 6 figures in my business, but now I'm a business coach because as I figured out how to get clients and fill my practice quickly, other people wanted the same thing. So I stopped being a nutritionist. I started being, little Fabienne on the phone, and you get 30 minutes a week and you get 30 minutes a week. And I got to full capacity. And at that point, I married my husband and we had a baby. And I am at 6 figures and I'm celebrating. Oh, honey, I got a new client. And this somber response was, are you sure you can handle more clients? We never see you. I would get up early to work with clients and I would end late. And then I would be with my husband and my baby and then go back to the computer. And then it just kept going. It's like one more email and mommy will be right there. And, just riddled with guilt. And I saw other friends of mine who were making now $50K a month and $100K a month. And I'm like, but when do I felt like I was made for more. When do I get to make that? And what I realized, and this is the leverage piece, what I realized is what got you to six figures, your approach, your team, your systems, your mindset, the way you market, the way you sell, everything that got you to six figures would never get you to seven figures. And so what I learned, and then I eventually 15 years ago got to seven figures in my business for the first time. So I've been at seven figures for 15 years, is that to make more and have a life, you actually need to work less, which is completely counterintuitive, which is where most people stop, most women stop at six figures and almost want to throw their business away. I've had so many of these conversations, with women who make 150, 250, and they are at full capacity. They're working evenings, weekends. They can't go on vacation without their laptop. And
I feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I feel that. I do. I feel that.
Mm-hmm. And they think that to grow, they'd have to work more. And so many of them, maybe you know what I mean, so many of them say it's not worth it because I'm working harder than I would ever agree to work for somebody else. And I'm paying myself less than I would ever accept to get paid by somebody else. But because it's my own business, I do it. And usually what I say to them is just give me 1 year. What got you here won't get you there. Let's shift your approach to do less better. And I'm happy to unpack any thing you want in there. And this is how this process that I've created, this leveraged business methodology that's in the book, is how to go from six figures to seven figures while getting your freedom back, while getting your life back, while getting your evenings and weekends and vacation and your femininity back. So that's what I do.
Well, that is what really attracted me so much to you as having you as a guest, because we're all about our femininity on this show, obviously, with the title and our women empowerment. And I've always felt like I had to water myself down in order to succeed in corporate America or in life. And so it's just been in my last few years of my healing journey that I've really been able to find myself again and step back into that femininity. And it's not that I don't feel powerful, I do, but I feel like a powerful woman. Right? The difference in that a little bit, but
it's super interesting that you use those words, because this is the key. Is I'm really interested, committed to create this movement, create a movement or just inspire the idea of women at a million, normalizing women at a million, but in a powerfully feminine way. Not in a masculine way, in a powerfully feminine way where we own our femininity. And I don't mean wearing pink. We own our femininity and don't apologize for it.
Exactly. That is exactly how I feel.
Well, the biggest two things for me is my time freedom. Like there are non-negotiables, and you can ask her, nope, I'm at home with the family. Sorry, I'll get to it later. That's number one. And just like you said, in order to receive any kind of abundance, you need to be in the feminine energy. Yes, it's good to have a masculine side, but we also need to be in our divine feminine energy in order to receive what is coming into us as well.
Could not agree more.
And I think let's face it, in the United States, you couldn't even get a business loan as a woman until the year 1988. I was in college before you could get a business loan in the United States without a man co-signing for you. And everything, the whole world is filled with masculine energy. Our economy is filled with masculine energy. We need that feminine, and everyone thinks of feminine as soft. It's not. We're protective as well. We're protective in a different way. We protect the healing energy. We do things differently, but that doesn't mean that we're not powerful. And part of it, I think, is we don't stand together
I
as
think
women.
so. I want to, if I may, to
Yes.
Sure, go.
underline that. So before the pandemic, I live in Paris, and I switched between Paris and Provence. I chose to live in France 8 years ago with my family. And so I used to fly back to the US, and the hundreds of clients would come in and we would meet once a quarter. And at one point, I invited this film making team to come and do a mini documentary on why Bold Heart works, why the leverage process works. And they filmed us for an entire week, morning to night, morning to night. And then a few weeks later, they gave me the 9-minute documentary, and they said, "Here you go, Fabienne. This is why the process works." And so I'm like so excited. I'm going to watch the film. I watched it and I was like, wait, this whole documentary is about community? I thought you were going to get to like the really important stuff. And they said, you don't understand. For women in business, when you can create community where the culture is loving and nourishing and elevating and collaborative, et cetera, there's nothing that a woman cannot do when she's in the company of other ambitious, heart-led, spiritually open women who believe in her more than she believes in herself. And I was like, wow, let me watch that documentary again. And very few people have a difficult time not having a tear in their eyes. They're watching that because it's just our truth. Exactly what you were just saying is this idea that the masculine is a solo energy and the feminine is a collaborative, it's a community energy. And so when women come together to encourage each other, to share resources, to say, let's play Monopoly, but instead of there being one winner, we're going to have a rising tide lifts all boats, and we're going to play this game. So every one of us is sharing our green little houses, and you can have Park Place, and you can have my this and that, and we all win. And there's not been enough of that.
I completely agree. And I think that men need to be more collaborative instead of so confrontational, and then they would be able to find a little bit of what we have. But I don't think without us with them they can do it. It's just not their energy. It really isn't. And I'm so I really am just so enamored kind of with all of your stuff. And I like where you talked about using spirituality as a part of making money. And Christina and I talk a lot about manifestation and I own an advertising agency, and being sales minded when you're focused on and doing the task that you need. I need sales, I'm prospecting. Then the universe provides and it gives you that. And recently I had you can go through phases, like listen to my own sales coaching and not stop prospecting ever. But I was like, oh gosh, I got to get back in it. And then bam, 3 new clients. You just have to understand that you're not asking to be given something, you're asking to be rewarded for the work you're doing. And so I'm interested in hearing kind of how that philosophy works for you, that universal spirituality, making money, all kind of tied in together.
I talk about this a lot. I run a program called the Money Magnet Club, which is a sprint for 90 days where a group of women create a big, hairy, audacious revenue goal. We just had one woman in 90 days generate a $500,000. That's usually a little unusual. Most people generate about 150,000 in 3 months. And the way we approach it is to do a combination of feminine and masculine. And I'll explain, and I hope this is helpful. Feel free to all try this over a 3-month period. It works like this: understanding that everything in nature, when it's working, is a combination of feminine and masculine energy. The yin and the yang is let's say what works is like having sunshine and then also having darkness and having dryness and rain. But if you had only sunshine 365, you couldn't grow fruit and veg. And if you only had rain and darkness 365, you couldn't grow fruit and veg. So you need a combination of both. Getting to my point in money magnetism is that when you understand that the masculine energy is a pushing energy, it's an action energy, it is needed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just sit on your sofa and go, bring me the money. It doesn't work that way, right? You got to call back that prospect. You got to close the sale. You got to get out there and let people find you.
You gotta
right?
you gotta do the
You
work.
got to do the
It's not
work.
that there's no work involved.
Right.
I think
But you also need the feminine energy, which is the vibration, which is the belief, which is if you understand that different emotions have different vibration that can be measured in megahertz, you understand that if you are saying, I need to manifest 100,000 because I'm in lack, that vibration is so low that you're not going to. So really looking at, what are my money beliefs? What do I think and feel about rich and successful people? What is my wealth consciousness, and can I raise my wealth consciousness? And if you can work on the vibration, which is more of a feminine energy, and that's the manifesting part of it, to which you add money actions. So money mindset and money actions together in community with accountability. This is how people manifest extraordinarily unusual sums of money in a sprint. And so all that to say, if you want to manifest money in your business, manifest clients on a regular basis, on a predictable basis, you're going to have to need the vibration, which is feminine, and the action, which is masculine.
I love that because I manifest a lot of things, and I couldn't agree with that more. I cannot remember where I heard this, but it was talking about money. So much of it has that masculine side to it, but in order to receive it, you always need to be on the feminine. And that really, but I love your analogy of that because I knew all of that, but the way that you just explained it, and especially to our audience, I feel is such a more beautiful way of putting it because all of those key elements, like you said, community, being able to receive and not just hustle, hustle, hustle and run yourself into the ground while doing it.
I know you've had, I mean, you wrote a whole book on how to do it, how to go from 6 figures to 7 figures. But is there a Cliff Notes or a summarization so we can kind of get a feel for what that looks like?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the concept of so the book is called The Leveraged Business: How You Can Go from Overwhelmed at 6 Figures to 7 Figures with Your Life Back, and it's the 8 principles that I actually teach in my program to people who are obviously overwhelmed at 6 figures. And we start with the concept of a leverage, and a lever is a way of taking action on something in a way that creates less effort but bigger results. So when I say we have to do less better, and I apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, to just about everything in my life. Whether I am packing for a vacation, I'm only going to take, let's say, 20% of what I would normally wear, right? Or if I'm cooking, or going to the store, I really only use about 80% of the same things all the time. The idea here with your business is that most people, let's say we have, just for round numbers, we work a 10-hour day. The 80-20 rule says that 20% of your actions are producing 80% of your results. So 2 hours out of your 10-hour day are making you money. Well, 8 hours out of your 10-hour day are a waste of time. Conversely, 80% of your activities or hours are only producing 20% of results or money. When you look at it that way, in the masculine way of action, action, busy, busy, you realize that we may, as a society, and I'm not talking about men, I'm talking about this energy, right? You realize that the really strategic way, if you are somebody who values freedom of time, freedom of location, you realize that if you were to just stop doing 8 hours a day or 80% of your activities that are really not producing great results, stop doing those and focus on growing the 20% of activities to bigger, you will actually do less, better, you'll make more money. So we apply this to all aspects of your business. So if you read the book, or you can get a bunch of these articles and videos on Bold Heart, you will realize that leveraging your team, leveraging your time, leveraging your systems, leveraging your business model, those are the first four, will have you make at least twice as much working half the time. So there is no such thing as a self-made millionaire. You must leverage a team. When you hire people to take things off your plate, let's say you're paying them $10, $15, $30, $50 an hour, and you use that time to work on exponential growth activities, the ones that will add another 100,000 or 200,000 to your business within 6 months or a year, that is the best way to leverage your time. Stop doing 80% of what you're doing and start using the time that you have to focus on those, what we call at Bold Heart, EGAs, exponential growth activities. So just with your time alone, you can grow your business. Even if we didn't touch your business model, even if we didn't touch your team, you leverage your time by leveraging your team. I'll give you another example. I hope it's useful. When you leverage your business model, you can start to, how do we say this? Work with many more people, working less in your day. So most of us, I don't know about you, but when I was a holistic nutritionist or when I first became a business coach, everything was hours for dollars. It was like, okay, I'm going to work with you for half an hour and I'm going to get paid for that. But when I don't work, I don't get paid. After a while, the game is about getting paid for your intellectual property. Leverage your intellectual property into a business model that can work one to many. So it's either what we call leveraged income or passive income, whereby, let's say you're working, with 30 clients and that uses up all 5 days of the week and you're working all day. This is about creating a model of delivering the results to your clients in a way that does not depend entirely on your time. Now, I still work with my clients. They're in a program, but there are places in the program that don't require me. And it doesn't matter whether there's 10 people in the program or 100 people or 1,000 people in the program. I don't have 1,000 people in it. I like to keep it small. That being said, you can exponentially grow your revenues and your impact while working less. Those are some of the examples of a leveraged approach to getting to seven figures. Getting to seven figures takes about 3 to 5 years. And I know people say, like, don't tell people that. Tell them it takes a year. Tell them it takes 12 weeks. It doesn't. We have to leverage your team, leverage your systems, leverage your business model, leverage your time. So it does take time, but some people do it in 2 years. But then that's $1 million a year for the rest of their career. Sometimes it's 3 million a year. And when you add that up,
Yes.
leveraging your business can make an extra 50 million, 100 million in your lifetime.
I love that. And it really reminds me of something that I address when I do sales coaching a lot is people will come to me and well, I'm making all this content, I'm doing all of this stuff, but I'm not getting any business. And as I look through it, I'm like, okay, but what were you selling? You're spending so much time making a bunch of stuff and having a lot of activity, and none of it actually sells anything. I think we've gotten into this whole content creation where, especially in my industry, it's very segmented, and you've got web people and video people and photographers and graphic designers. They don't have any sales experience because that's not what they do. So they don't know how to make that content. And so they're making the 80% and not just wasting their time, but wasting their money, paying other people to make that content. And so it reminded me of that so much that even in my own stuff, I need to reduce it back and focus on, like I said, I needed to get out and prospect more, right? I went out and did a speaking engagement and did a couple of networking events, and then I'm right back in it, back to the things that make money. I mean, that is such a big thing to focus on. And Christina's heard me a million times to ask her that question too. But how's it making you money? I ask it all the time, and people really sometimes are, okay, but why are you doing this? Right? I'm not doing it for fun. I'm doing it to make money. And so how's it make you money? What's the plan for making it make you money? And I love it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I just didn't want to. I
I,
just thought she might cut in. I mean, the big thing with me is my time. And also it is for me about the community because yes, I do want to have sales, but also for me, it's more important for me to be able to get out to my community because that's what I want 15 years from now. That's what I want. So, community, I will always put over sales, not in a bad way, but I know in my heart that the money will come.
right. But
And
I think
that's,
what she's saying is her community is focused on sales and making money,
and that's,
right? It,
well, and I think with me, what I'm saying is you in my community and the other people is y'all do push me to do my sales and things like that, but it's also building that overall picture of my time of, this is my life and building it off of time and freedom for sure.
I'd
yeah.
love to add something to this part of the conversation about how we women are reared, and socialized to doubt ourselves. And what I've learned, literally, I became an accidental expert in women business owners just by having worked with tens of thousands of them. Thank you, divine universe, for all this abundance. But I learned that we have been yeah, we've been socialized to think that we don't know what we're thinking and that we should go to to someone else to make sure that our ideas are validated. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've learned that women, especially when they are isolated, they doubt themselves because of that
Yes.
radicalization. So in isolation, there is self-doubt. What I've also learned by experience, just working with women, is that there is the law of diminishing intent is real. And there have been studies that say that the law of diminishing intent, meaning from the idea or the divine download or the person you met or this reading this book or attending this seminar or listening to this podcast episode or the oh, I should really hire and work with that person, from the longer the time that you allow, the longer the time there is from idea or chance encounter or whatever to saying yes to it, the higher the likelihood that it will never happen. That is 2 days. And
I believe that. When
I
Christine and I
yes.
decided to start this podcast, we had only known each other about 3 months. And I don't know what possessed me to ask her to do it, but it was the time is now, let's do it.
yeah,
And I so believe that we are not tuned in to our intuition. And when it gets you and you find a like-minded person and you have the same mindset, boy, it changed my life. It changed your
Oh,
life
yes.
to find those members of your tribe, of your community. And it was a big deal for me, honestly. And it's so important that you are able to recognize it and choose it, make a choice and move forward with it, and don't think about it too much. It's really hard to do for us women. We have to consider
yes,
everybody else's needs before our
exactly.
own.
Put the needs of others
Um,
first. So if you are alone, sitting at your desk, at your kitchen table, whatever work looks like for you, and you have this great idea and you're alone, the first day is like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Second day is like, wow, this is so cool. I'm super inspired, but let me get to the to-do list. Third day, gosh, maybe next year. Fourth day, what idea? But when you are in a community of other ambitious, big-hearted, kind, generous women, and you share immediately your idea, there will be accountability. There will be, I see you. There will be, I believe in you. I believe in you more than you may believe in yourself right now. How are you doing with that? And they fan the idea, they keep it alive so that past the 2 days, you haven't talked yourself out of it because you've got all these other people rooting for you, encouraging you, and holding you accountable. And that power, the power of community, the power of the feminine encouragement is what is actually making women get to 7 figures, as opposed to this solo energy that women do not thrive in.
I so believe that too.
mhm.
And oftentimes I found myself being the cheerleader, and I find doing that so uplifting, hearing other people's successes and encouraging them and then seeing them feel better. That makes me feel great too, being able to see that.
Well, you're coming from your heart space. I mean,
Yes.
that's the most important thing out of everything is come from
Yep.
here
And
versus, like you said, self-doubt lives in here,
Mhm.
and it can be a doozy.
I
Like
think we
the
all have moments
like
of
that
that.
inside out, we need a self-doubt over here.
Yeah, kick that out. Well, we've been a little bit over our time, but I have so enjoyed
Yes.
having you as a guest. I'd love to keep in touch. I'm definitely buying the book
Oh,
and
yes.
reading the book. 100% I am. And it's been just a really big pleasure to have you as a guest. If one of our listeners, wants to reach out to you to learn more about your program and your seminars and buy your book, what's the best way to do that?
Boldheart.com is my website. like bold and heart. And the book is actually available on the website. I'll print it. I'll ship it. If you pay the shipping, I'll give you the book for free. So there's that. There's that
Ah,
film we talked about is on the website. There's a business assessment there. The best place is that. And I have a podcast called The Fabienne Show. And if you're interested
Ooh.
ah,
in,
yay.
if you're interested in hearing more super authentic talk about business and life for women who are ambitious with big hearts, that's where you can find me.
I love that.
I do too. I do.
And
I
especially
think we
that
found some
90.
community. We have such like-mindedness that I love it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely in my summer season, so I want to figure out about that 90-day thing because it's time.
So please, everyone, check out Fabienne's website, boldheart.com. And it's so awesome you're able to get that. She started that business a long time ago, or that URL would be long gone, my friend, long gone. So please check out her stuff. You can also find links to that in our show notes and to Christina's business, The Declutter Queen, and mine, Hexagon Media, as well. Please share, like, continue to listen, and subscribe to our podcast. Until next week,
We are out.